in a perfect world, it doesn't really matter if parents are rich, if parents are poor. Everyone should really work at a restaurant industry so they know how it feels like to be a nobody when people treat you like a nobody. But also, they should know how it feels when you're working with a team of awesome folks. You feel loved, you feel supported, and just having the job, at a fast food restaurant or any restaurant, your awareness is like Spider-Man's awareness. You're like, it opened up a different door. Like, it's like, wow, I never even noticed, what, I'm now seeing. Like, you pay
from humans.
Yeah, for human, for like even like smallest details.
Johnny Chu, thanks for coming in today, man.
Yeah.
I'm pumped about this sit down. What a lot of people know you as is operating a restaurant called Amerasia here in Covington, Kentucky. I'm so pumped about finding out like there's so much more to you and the guy behind the business and your family. And we stopped down the other day, had some lunch, and I got a few little tidbits on where you're from and the ideas and family. So I'm pumped about that because the idea of this podcast is to tell our stories, but to help other people know how to do this life a little bit better. And I think one thing I said to you, I was like, how many people come to you looking for advice like, hey, I'm going to open a restaurant. Like, man, like, what should I do? And I kind of laughed. I'm like, your best advice, you're probably telling like, don't do it. Are you sure you want to? And then we talked about entrepreneurship and what it takes and all the hours and running operations. And so I'm pumped to talk about all that because I look at Amerasia. It's in Covington, Kentucky. It's really popular. People love it, man. If you talk about Asian cuisine, it's just one of those places that it's a huge lunch spot, but there's massive traffic in there for dinner, man. And so it is just a staple, and people love the place. But it's not just about the food. When you sit down in there, it feels hip, it feels cool, and it's just a microcosm of society. So I'm pumped to talk about the idea behind it, helping people do the restaurant business better. And just talk about life of the entrepreneur, man, and like where you came from and life's journey. So welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
Yeah.
We just talked about your corduroy jacket you brought. You're bringing the style and the fashion back from the 70s, man. So this entrepreneur journey, man, you're sitting here at 40. I know I'm going to age you. We talked about it, but 44 years old.
Right.
How long you been doing this thing?
Running this restaurant, it has been for us, for me, 16, 17 years now, just running it on my own, now that my dad's retired. So it's quite experience so far.
How long has the family owned it? 16, 17 years, the whole family, or no?
We took over the existing restaurants, the business. We bought it from a different owner. I mean, it has been like a family-owned restaurant for 30 plus years. And then we took over about 16, maybe 17 years ago, and we've been running it since.
Was it? Do you think when your dad was raising you up in the business, because you're in your late 20s when this started, early 30s, right? Is this always the family plan? Is it always the next generation's going to run it?
No, it's a little. I wouldn't say that. I think it was just an accidental opportunity. So long story short, my dad, he's been in this restaurant business industry since he's 9. He came from China, and during the war, right? I mean, during the war, the family, they couldn't go to school. All the kids had to start working and support the whole family, and he was the oldest in the family. So he basically just took on the responsibility, watch the kid, the brothers, sisters that he has, and he's just gone on, start working at restaurants, and that's kind of how things started for him. Then they went to Taiwan, basically same thing. He started different, learning under like different cooks, chefs, from back in the days. So fast forward, he's always, a cook or chef, right? Then the opportunity, come to America happened. We packed everything up and it came to States. I believe we landed to Cincinnati in the 1990s.
How old were you then?
I was probably 10, maybe 11.
What was that like? I think you're old enough at 10 and 11.
I didn't know anything about America. I'll be honest with you. My first two words in English I knew was F you and thank you.
Well, you got both ends of the spectrum.
Right. Pretty much like, well, F you for doing this and thank you for doing that. Those were the only two words that I knew, but we really did not have any idea what it is, how it's supposed to be in America. Culture is just so different.
Did you have family here at all? Is that why you came to Cincinnati?
Yeah, my aunt, my aunt met her husband in Taiwan, and he was an Air Force man stationed in Taiwan. They met and got married. She came to the States, Cincinnati, and I guess my dad felt like, let's kind of apply citizenship to see what happens. Sure enough, 5 years later, we got the call to come to America, and guess what? For to pursue education, freedom, and Happy Meals. At least to me, Happy Meal was dope. McDonald's was a big thing.
Yeah.
Even in Taiwan too. So America was the land of freedom. So we decided to come here. And
has it lived up to that? Have the past 30 something years lived up to it?
I would say so. Yeah. Ever since we immigrated here to the States, I don't think I ever gone back to Taiwan for 20 plus years. So it was kind of like a culture shock to me. But then I was only 10 years old, so I had to, it was easy for me to learn, the American ways of, doing things, just being able to survive in America.
Mm-hmm. Would your dad do it over again? Would he come again if he had to do it again? I'd
probably say so.
Yeah.
So I guess to continue what your question earlier was that, so he's been in this restaurant industry ever since, and ever since we moved here, guess what? He started working at different, Asian restaurants, until he's always worked for somebody, so, and therefore we were always the replaceables. So he wanted to start his own business, so he doesn't have to feel like he's replaceable. It's just a number. They'll take advantage of you. He worked crazy hours, never home, and really bad pay. So he just got tired of that. So he wanted to start his own business. With me, but
Have you knowing that this idea of being replaceable as an employee, and your dad didn't want that anymore and wanted something different for him and his family, how's that make you see the employees working for your restaurant?
Well, if as a kid, I was there to witness my mom, my dad working class, they're verbally abused, by employers, and abused by their coworkers, right? And it just felt like, there's so many things that they wanted to say, but they couldn't. They don't speak English. All they were able to do and capable of doing is being responsible and do their job right and go beyond. That's kind of like what all the employer will love, but not all employers are there to see it, and the folks, the coworker sees that, oh, they're doing so much more than I'm doing. I don't like that. They're making me look bad. Guess what? I'm going to make fun of you. I'm going to start doing things to make you feel terrible about yourself. Maybe you'll come down to my level. Of carrying that around me growing up, of course, as a foreign, student, I get that too, at school. So it kind of changed my whole perspective. It kind of taught me compassion. It kind of taught me patience, everything that what we're supposed to do, and we're not supposed to do. So, growing up, witnessed that from my parents, I felt bad, of course. I kind of carry that with me, with us, and we really do care about our employees because they aren't our employees, they're our teammates. We work with them, they work with us. We're not, I don't I don't believe in pointing fingers and tell somebody what to do, when to do it. And then when something happens, you blame somebody. It's like, if you want to run a business, you really should get your hands dirty too. You lead the team by doing it yourself. So therefore you get the respect, and, and you don't miss a beat. You know what's going on. That's kind of what I believe.
Did your parent, did they verbalize that?
I don't think so. I don't think they want the kids to witness that. I don't think that's the type of feeling anybody should go through ever.
But you were aware. You always heard it and felt it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, just being the only Asian kid in school, like, what's going on. You know how it feels. At workplace, it's probably worse than going to school. Because you probably don't even have friends. Like, I don't know if my parents even had friends at work. Everybody kind of just do their own things. It's very unfortunate to say, but sometimes you don't speak English. You don't know how to communicate. Therefore, you don't how to express what you need.
So do they know more than 2 words now?
Probably. I would say
4?
so. Maybe hands full. But I mean, they're able to communicate with you, with their hands and all that. You can kind of look at their facial expression. I mean, you kind of get a point. We get around.
Yeah. Was there at 10 or 11? Can you go back and think about cultural differences? Like, was there a cultural difference in Taiwan versus coming to the U.S.? Does that jive? Did you comprehend? Can you look back? Do you know that?
I'll be honest with you. It's been so long that I got one thing. It's a little embarrassing to say, but back in Taiwan, I was probably 4th grade. I didn't know any better. I mean, I was picking my nose. Like, you used to pick your nose, in the middle school, in the middle class, right?
So that's what we're doing as a Taiwanese kid. We're
we're
just picking our nose.
Yeah, I wasn't aware. My awareness wasn't there.
Yeah.
I mean, I picked a lot of my nose, back in the days, in Taiwan, nobody has anything to me. So I'm like, okay, this is probably just what people do, what humans do.
4th grade kids do.
Right. And then I came here, going to school, picking my nose, and they're like, what the hell are you doing? I'm like, what? Don't we all pick our noses? I'm sure you got a big booger, inside your nose. We don't just pick them, But yeah, that's just one of the shocks that I'm like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be doing that.
Do you think, did somebody, maybe there was a directness? Maybe in Taiwan, people they were like, hey, what's he doing? He's picking. Nobody said anything. But here they were a little more mean, and they did say something. No?
Possibly. But one thing that I've also noticed is that this is the 90s, right? Like, boys were all holding hands, girls holding hands, Even I witnessed high school, classmates were all holding hands. Over here, it's like, oh, you're... why are you guys holding hands? Things like that. It's like, well, we're buddies. We like each other. Why can't we hold hands? So that's kind of like things I've learned over time. It's like, wow, man, when you love somebody, we care about somebody, you can't express that in the public. Okay, that's cool. I can do that.
Yeah. You'll adapt, you'll assimilate, right?
Yeah. So things like that, it's like, it doesn't make sense to me, but you know what? I'm here, so I want to be accepted, so therefore I'll do whatever I can to just trying to fit in.
Yeah. So if you could write your own chapter of a book now, so let's say at the end of Johnny's life there's a book written about us all, and it's all written retroactively how we've lived, and all the chapters are different moments. Would you write a different book?
I probably say, well, then again, I would say yes, but no, not really, because I don't know what could have happened, if I were to do this, if I did that. I mean, everything that I know now, the person that I am today is through, all the challenges, all the differences, struggles, that I've lived and I've survived. And that's kind of made me the person I am today. So I wouldn't say I would reset, redo, anything, everything. But of course, there were things that I made, mistakes.
Yeah, make mistakes, right? That's when we learn. But it's like you wouldn't do it over differently because you wouldn't be this guy now.
That's right.
Right.
That's right. I do want to say I'm proud of my mistakes. That's what made me the person I am today.
Yeah. Who is the person today? Who is Johnny today?
Well, that's a great question because I am still trying to figure that out. I believe that we're not going to stop growing, until the day that I die. I guess the goal is trying to figure out who I am, what I'm supposed to do, and whom I'm supposed to be. But that's a bunch of questions that nobody could answer, and I think that goes for a lot of people too.
So what do we do with that? My response is just try to do the best you can every day then.
Absolutely.
Right. Whatever we choose to do. Like you're running a restaurant, I run a real estate company, we come and do a podcast. Like let's try to just today, what I tell people, like let's just try to have the best conversation we can have today. And then after this, whatever we do, if you go to dinner with somebody, like just try to have the best dinner while you're having the dinner with the person. Right?
That's right.
And so I found that if I do that every day, my outcome is just a little bit better all the time.
Yeah. I mean, as long, I guess for me, it's like there's no rules, there's no book that tells me, what I need to do, how well I need to get done. I guess it's the how satisfied I am with the decision, the result that I do for myself, for the others. If I'm happy with what I did today, the dinner, lunch, with whoever, living that moment, if I'm happy with that result, I think my whole, the whole day, I just feel happy.
So what do you do with it if you're not happy with it?
Well, that's a good question. The worst thing is that something you are not proud of, you kind of, it's a broken record. You keep on thinking about it. It's like, why did I do that? What made me do that? If I could, how would I change it? But I can't change, what just happened. How can I to prevent that from happening? So it's kind of like you always got to shape your mind, every day. But of course, it sucks to think about that negative, thing that you did. But it kind of does help you and mold you.
Yeah, for the next time.
Yeah, for the next time. That's right. You have that bad memory, and you think about it. It's like, I don't want to deal with that again. I want to be in the happy moment. I don't want to think about this, for next 2 hours, because next week it's almost like or a year later it's kind of like deja vu. Something arises, you'd be like, I think I had that experience before and I did not like it. What was it? Why did I do that? Why am I doing it again?
If you want a different outcome, you got to do different things.
That's right.
Right.
Absolutely.
It's very simple.
That's right.
But until you understand it's simple, maybe it's not.
Well, sometimes it's that enlightenment.
What do you think enlightenment is? Just an understanding.
Understanding. Absolutely. But of course, it's something that you're searching and there's no guidance. Someone like the wise, Confucius man can say, oh, how about, if you're thinking this way, let me give you some, fortune cookie saying, that might redirect you to a different direction, and that'll help you to be more aware, be more enlightened. But I do think that as we grow, you can be enlightened, but you're not going to be 100%, dead on this, this thing that you're trying to figure out, because you won't, and it's not going to happen.
Confucius is pretty much the philosopher of China.
Yeah, that's right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. It's like, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's kind of like the religion of China. Kind of?
Kind of. I guess it's the way of living, way of life.
The way of thinking.
It's kind of like a Buddhism. I mean, they have gods here and that, but really they're, I got the whole perspective of their religion really is, how to live, without worries, how to live without any type of negativity, how to be happy.
It's like a stoicism.
Right?
You're right.
That's right.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, I dig it, like we all got to live, either we like it or not, but it's how do we live it? How do we live that life? Just being happy.
Yeah.
You can't fake that.
Yeah. Since we're invoking the Asian stuff, have you, I don't know if you're much of a reader, but The Art of War, Sun Tzu?
No, I'm not a reader. I have never read that.
It's wild, man. I'd recommend. There's only 2 or 3 books. Like I don't try to get people to think like me, but I'm like, just think. And it's a good book. I mean, the stuff that Confucius wrote. I mean, he was alive like 1,000 or 2,000 years ago. I don't know the exact time, right?
Right.
But the things that him and some of these Greek philosophers and Sun Tzu, these people had this way of thinking figured out. And I just don't know why that we continue to act like we don't know how to do it. It's like they were here before. They shared it with us. They wrote the books.
Right.
Right?
Right.
You just have to go in depth. But I think The Art of War, it's a heck of a book. There's so many analogies and ways and perspectives to live life. It's incredible. And so there's 2 or 3 books that have really changed my life. And then you listen to people that have come before and a way to think. Your life can get much better if you just think better.
Well, that also comes with the maturity.
Yeah, with experience.
Yeah, it's kind of like me as a kid. My parents would tell me, man, why stop doing this? This is why. As a kid, it's like, well, what do you know? Like, you don't know anything. This is my life. I'm going through a special, a special event that you guys have no idea about. Now I'm a dad. I'm older, a little bit wiser. It's kind of like, and I look back and think back, oh man, my parents were so right. Now I have 2 toddlers, and I'm reliving the same event again. It's like, well, my kids are already talking back to me. They're only like less than 5 years old. It's like, what do you know? You don't know me. You don't know about my life. Like, oh man, I guess I don't. But similar.
Yeah. But I was actually 5 one time.
Right.
Like that's the perspective, right?
Yeah,
I went through it. I might not exactly be you, but I went through this experience. How do you think you'll make connections with your kids? Because they don't come with a playbook.
Right. They don't. And I'm still trying to figure out how to, if they're broken or not. Sometimes I feel like they're broken, but you can return them. I think really it's kind of like what you said. Like, I was 5 once. I was, I did not care about my parents. I did not think they were wise enough to know what I'm going through, but sometimes, like I think about that. It's like, how does this 5-year-old Johnny feel, and that's kind of like, I can try to apply that, to them, but I guess at the end of the day, it's kind of like, okay, talk to me. What is it that you want? Can we calm down? Can you stop crying first, please? And trying to figure out, I guess really it's about patience. We don't have patience nowadays. Everything is so fast. Everything is so busy. We don't have time for anything. We don't have time to eat, So it's kind of like, I got to be able to provide some patience and some time to understand why they're crying. I may not be able to understand why they're crying, but it's like, but if you tell me, maybe I will try to understand, why you feel this way. And I will tell you, that's not how it is. You may feel that way, but that's not how it is.
Isn't this the unlock to relationships all throughout our life, this level of communication?
I think this communication is the key. We've been saying for so long, communication is the key, kind of like you said earlier. There's always this, wise man, wise, saying, but do we really listen to it? We don't. Because I guess we're still being that stubborn little boys, little girls that, well, what do you know? My situation might be different, very different from yours. Like, don't be telling me like, you don't know me, that kind of, attitude. So I really do think that, it may not be, but if you tell me, I have the time to listen, I will make time for you. I do think that's a key.
I think you apply this to operating your restaurant.
Yes.
I can tell. When I was with you, when we stopped down and had lunch last week, and we talked for a few minutes, and I saw you interacting with your employees and the engagement, I was like, yep, he's a communicator. He listens. He seeks to understand.
Well, at least I try.
No, you seek to, yeah. Well, I'm not saying we will understand at the end of the day, but you're seeking to try to understand where they're coming from, to make connections with them, to make them feel like, hey, regardless if we have differences, like, you matter.
Right.
I care about what's going on with you. Right.
Right.
I could sense that and feel it. Like, you guys have a good team there. And I said, hey, why not do it again? Because we all have these aspirations of like opening a second one. Like, why not open another one?
Well, it's always easy, to say, let's open up a second one. Let's open up a third one. Money's going to be great. We're going to have this and that. But I guess for me, I don't know if I want to handle the stress. It's kind of like, having one is good enough for me. You know, like there's no reason to open up a second one, third one. You know what? Money is great, but I guess we didn't start this business based on, you know, the income, you know, money. You know, we did it because it was my dad's dream to open up his own business, and he wanted to kind of educate, you know, folks out there. Not all Asian food are greasy, sloppy, soy sauce, you know, everything, you know, like there's actually arts involved, and of course kung fu, you know, involved, like, and like all the years and years of experience, you know, that he has in his head. He just wanted to share that with the world. Of course, money follows. I mean, I'm not going to deny that.
Money follows success.
Right, money, it does follow, but our number one goal is, like, we want to do the things right. We want to make sure that everything we provide, you know, to you. I mean, you work hard for the money, and we all know that. So do we. You know, like, we want to make sure we provide you the best, freshest, you know, cooking there is, and we're not going to give you a bunch of you know, pre-cooked, you know, like bottled in the cans, you know, frozen, you know, food. I mean, that's not our, you know, that's not how we do business. So it's kind of like, if we're going to do it, we want to do it right. You know, the freshest ingredient, nothing but garlic, nothing but ginger. You're not the, you know, store-bought dried, you know, powder, things like that. So
yeah, there's a cafe in the family too that you guys recently opened, and but you shared with me about how you make tea, and I'm like, man, they're applying this to operating the restaurant. If they're applying this to you want it to be a tea shop, but you're like, hey, we got to sell coffee because that's what people want too. But you actually shared with me the recipe and how you guys are making tea. I was like, this is fascinating. This quality approach to give us something we don't even really know what we're getting completely.
Right. It's kind of like what I talk about, culture shock. You know, like in Taiwan, we really don't do a lot of tea bags. You know, it's like, you know, I grew up, you know, drinking tea without really knowing, you know, what tea, you know, what they do to you, like, you know, health, you know, benefits and all. It's kind of like when you drink tea, it's always like family gathering. You know, you drink tea. You know, over here it's like we drink beer, we drink liquor. You know, and so it's kind of like you drink tea like you drink water in Asia. Now, over here in the States, you go to, you know, I'm not trying to dog anybody, but like, you know, you go to like a
big brand coffee shop or a tea shop or something.
Yeah, and you order, you know, like a $4, $5 cup of a tall, hot tea. Guess what? It's tea bag, and I'm like, and it's just regular green tea. I mean, it's nothing special. You know, so that's kind of like, why is it that the Americans, you know, the Americans here drink tea bag? I know that's no big deal, but it's like, why aren't they drinking the actual tea leaves? Like, you know, it's very odd to me, you know, to see that, and you're paying premium for it, you know, for
so why not get the premium, true quality ingredient then,
right?
Which is an actual leaf,
right? They don't sell a lot of tea leaves, even in supermarkets. Of course, I don't expect, you know, the supermarket will carry, you know, a natural loose tea. Plus, even if they do carry, like, do we really know how to brew tea? You know, probably don't. Like, there's no, I mean, YouTube, yeah, I'm sure only if somebody has the time wants to know how to brew tea properly, but I just think that people just don't have the knowledge and don't even have the time, don't even care. It's like, oh, I'll just get Lipton tea from McDonald's, $1, you know, for a giant jug of, you know, of tea. I think it's for convenience nowadays.
So what's your guys, as you shared this process, like your uncle back in Taiwan, like operates or runs? Tell us the story.
Yeah. So my uncle, he's the Taiwanese Tea Association president / CEO, chairman, long ass title, like Game of Thrones, you know, like it's crazy. But what he really does is he's the one who oversees, you know, all the teas in Taiwan. He approved the import exports. But most important thing is that nothing under his watch contains any type of chemical. So, you know, but he happens to have his own, so he knows a lot about tea. He's been doing this for like, you know, early teens as well. And now this has become his profession. So he happens to have like a tea mountain down south in the country. So he applied with all of his knowledge together. So I'll try to make it short.
Make it long. I don't care. Tell us the story.
It's so on top of this mountain, I'm talking about like 7,000-8,000 altitude. Really really high on top of the mountain. So he has these trees, like fruit trees. Okay, to prevent mountain monkeys and to destroy his crops. So what he did was he would grow all these fruit trees around. So the number one reason is for to feed the monkeys, and to really all the fruit becomes the nutrients for the soil. But the most important thing is the roots of his tree plants, and also the fruit trees. They interlock under the soil. So it does provide this little fruitiness, I guess, taste to it. If you're not a tea drinker, and you probably can't, taste it, but if you're like a very experienced, tea person, you can actually taste this fruitiness, sweetness, towards the end of the finish. So just with that kind of knowledge, it's like, wow, man, like so it contains no chemical, fresh, clean air, and the spring water, comes straight from the mountain, from the top. So it's like this guy doesn't need to spend money. He doesn't even need to worry about, like not having water to water the tree, the tea leaves. So just with that that kind of knowledge, it's like, wow, man, like that's no wonder your tea is top tier. So that's kind of like things that really intrigued, to know.
And you send like the leaves. What's the name of the newer shop down in Covington?
Kung Brew.
Okay, Kung Brew. What do you know? A little twist on Kung Fu, right?
Right.
but Kung Brew. So you all take those leaves. Your uncle sends you the leaves that are the best, and the tea that you can pick up right here in Covington, Kentucky, is directly from the top of that mountain, from that water, from the fruit trees, from all the roots intertwining in the ground, and those leaves are here.
That's right.
For the same cost of a cup of tea,
Probably,
pretty much somewhere else.
Probably less.
Wow.
It costs a lot less.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for tuning in. If you like these types of conversations, be sure to follow The Necessary Entrepreneur on your favorite platform so you never miss out on future content. You guys do it the same way at your restaurant, right? It's the same attitude of quality.
Actually, no. We don't do that kind of quality tea at the restaurant. Believe it or not, we don't have a lot of tea drinkers at the restaurant. But then
it's got a lot of alcoholic drinkers.
We do have a lot of alcohol, a lot of beer, a lot of liquor, cocktails, and all that. So their priority is not really at the tea. It's kind of like, and the Kung Brew was so close to the restaurant. It's kind of like, well, you could always go down to the tea shop and just drink tea. So no, unfortunately, we don't serve that kind of quality.
But you do with the food. You take that approach with the food.
That's right.
When you a few minutes ago you said the Kung Fu approach or integration to food for the Kung Food. What is that? Because there's a sign in your restaurant that says Kung Food, doesn't it?
It does.
So what is that?
So it's a pretty funny story. So we started this business 2008, right? And we were not busy. Like we're just a very very small casual restaurant. It was ran by myself. It was just basically it was me, my dad, and his girlfriend at the time, Daisy. That's her. So she passed away not very long later. There were just the three of us running the show, right? I was the manager / delivery guy, while my dad was the cook, prep, and Daisy was the waitress on the floor, holding down the fort when I'm out there making deliveries. So our income for the first 2-3 years was like what, $200-$300 a day, which we really didn't care about the money, and we were able to survive off that $200-$300 a day profit. No big deal. We weren't paying each other anyway. I wasn't paid. My dad wasn't paid. We're all doing it just because it's a family restaurant. So one day, my dad was out there talking to customers, of course, with broken English. But, people seem to understand what he's saying. I was just prepping and all that, and my dad he tried to describe, you know, his food, his experience. So I overheard him say, "Oh, all this food right here is you know through my experience, you know, da da da." But really, in real life, what he was saying was, "Oh, it's all kung fu," you know. It's kind of like you know him telling like you know all the years of practice, you know, of kung fu, you know, all cooking and all that. It's kung fu, and of course, with his accent, I heard kung food, and the light bulb just go ding. I could trademark that. Kung food. Yes, kung fu it is. So we added this personality we took over this restaurant. We kept the number and the phone number, kept the name. But it's like, you know what? That's all what was passed down to us. But we don't have an identification of what the Chu families are, you know, who we are, you know, my dad especially. So kung food is now a personality that you know identify who he is. So that's kind of where this kung fu comes from.
Yeah, that's cool. It's your identity.
That's right.
It's funny. I watched a documentary about the Chinese culture and back over all the generations, and a part of it was this lineage of name matters. And so did you guys lose that through going to Taiwan and then coming to the U.S.? Because they have these gatherings. We used to call them family reunions in the U.S.,
right.
But they would have these gatherings, and they're recognizing this lineage from thousands of years ago. Is that real in the culture? Like, is that... And so you guys just don't...
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know...
Because you invoke the Chu family and... Right?
That's right. So it's kind of like having boys, you know, in the Asian culture. It's like, you know, you have to honor your family by being able to pass down the name and the bloodline by having a boy. You know, that's why... And I disagree with this, but it's like if you have a girl, it's a shame. You brought shame to the family because you can't pass it down. The girl will go off and marry someone else, and they'll keep the name.
That family's name.
That's right. So you don't carry that in the bloodline, you know. So it's kind of like it's kind of like that. It's like even with the family business, like you got to be able to pass down this legacy, you know, from dad to son, and then to another generation. But that's not how I feel like right now. It's like, who does that? The only reason why I never mentioned this to anybody, really, the reason why I got with my dad to start this business, because I'm there are three of us. I'm the only boy, the boy in the family, of course. I am. They tried, you know, here I am. I'm the fourth, and I'm the baby, and my sister did not even want to deal with, you know, running a business, you know. And me, I didn't care about, you know, restaurants. I hated restaurants, you know. But it was right after, you know, college. I was a gamer. You know, I played game for like, you know, for 2 years straight. I didn't have anything. I wake up, and, you know, 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon. I just go straight to video games. I didn't have a go. I was just scrub, you know. My dad called me one day. He goes, "Hey, you want to start a business with me?" I'm like, "Nope, hell no. I'm not doing that. You know, I've got a career. I'm a gamer, you know." But, you know, like he tells me, you know what, look, you don't have to say yes. You don't have to say no. Come back. Just come down. Just come see the place. This is to see if you like this place or not. But sure enough, like, you know, I came down, you know, plus I was watching a lot of MasterChef, you know, at a time. So, like, you know, with all of that, you know, in my head, it's like, you know what, maybe I could help my dad to make this work. Plus, it's his dream. You know, I'm the only son. I want to be able to help him to complete his dream. If I didn't do that, who I am, you know, what's my purpose if I didn't help him? And I would probably kick myself, you know, if I never pulled a trigger to help him.
How old were you then?
I'll be honest with you, I don't know. I was probably in my early 30s right now. I mean, back then.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm not sure. I don't know, 29?
Yeah.
Late 29, 20s or something. Like, you know, I'll be honest with you, I really don't remember, but I was a scrub. I did not have a go in life. So that was kind of like my purpose. So anyway, now fast forward. I believe that, you know, yes, the family, name should continue, especially the restaurants, and there's so many, um, I guess, family owned business, all this, skilled, masters are dying off because their kids don't want to take it over. So I believe that, yeah, you know what, if my kids don't want to take over this restaurant, I won't be angry about it. But if somebody who's been with me, run this business alongside with me as my teammates wants to continue, okay, I mean, that's great because they have the passion for it, they have the love for it versus just passing it down to a kid that don't even want it. Like, why am I doing that?
Mm-hmm.
That business is going to go down to shit anyway.
So what's it take? What's it take over the past? Think about over the past 10 years, the past decade. What's it take to be successful in business? Like, what's it take?
Oh, wow. It's kind of like there's a lot of ingredients. There's tons of ingredients to that. That I think the number one thing is time. I remembered I was working. My dad and I, we were, working until like 2-3 o'clock in the morning, prepping and all that, because we're cooking, we're packing, throughout the day, and then of course we need to find time to clean, to prep, for the next day, and we usually, I remember, we probably didn't get more than 5 hours sleep a day. There were times that I had to beg my dad, be like, hey, man, come on, please, let's just go sleep. Let's go home. Not for me, but for him, because he took on a lot more role, a lot of, more hats, than I, and he was doing more. So it's kind of like, man, it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of passion. Sometimes it's more than passion, more than love, doing what you do, because you get burnt out even doing what you love to do. But the man was stubborn. So I would say the number one ingredient, is time. The second ingredient would be patient. The patience is huge, because without patience, it's just like cooking. You have no patience, you can't make good food, right? Everything right now nowadays is all like instant food, microwave, frozen. Again, we have no time for that, but really for you to make good food, it does take a lot of time, a lot of passion. So I would definitely say that. And the other one I would say this, what I mentioned earlier is that, you have to be there. So, like sometimes you do things so long, for so many years, you don't do you don't even use spoon anymore. Like, measurement spoons, like we kind of just do like by the touch, little pinch of this, a little bit of that, and the fire, we don't have, the usual convention, stove at home, like what we have at home. Ours is like, 8,000 BTU. It's like a jet engine, spitting on fire. Like if you're not careful, that thing burns within like, seconds. So it's like, with experience, you learn how to control the fire with the right amount of fire, the time, the pinch of, seasoning here and there, a couple of stir, the food is done. Of course the prep work before that, we marinate, we cut, slice, dice our protein, straight, from the bones, you marinate that. And then the sauces, you prep the sauce, you make the sauce, you like let it sit for like, several days, and then it's kind of like that, like, cutting, chopping the veggies too, and then it goes on, on a walk, with oil, seasoning, fire, then you have the finished product. But people don't see that. You can't see that behind the curtain because they don't show you that, so there, like I said, there's a lot more ingredient to it, and every other, parts to it as well.
What do you have a lot more years ahead of you in this restaurant business, right?
I wouldn't say that.
Why not?
It does take a lot of time.
Yeah.
Off my, we only have 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
So if I could, I would. If there's like 48 hours in a day, oh yeah, man.
You'd still put it in, right? But
yeah,
do you think this is what you'll do for the rest of your work life? Do you think you'll run this restaurant? And
that's
to be determined.
To be determined. I mean, again, I enjoy doing what I do. I get to meet so many great people, great characters. I talk to a lot of old timers. I ask questions. That's kind of like one of the benefits of running a restaurant is there's no script. It's not scripted. You just go in and you ask how people are. And you just talk to them, and sometimes you get a lot of knowledge. You meet a lot of people.
What's one of the best things you've learned from an old timer? Those kind of questions put you on the spot, but is there something that sticks out?
Usually it's about I ask about, like, for example, like, old couples, husband and wife. I ask them, so what is the secret ingredient? What is the secret recipe for you and your wife or your spouse to stay together? What's the story? How'd you guys meet? What do you guys do? How do you appreciate each other? What are the things that you do to trying to, things that you dislike about each other, but how do you do it? How'd you do it? Like, and I think those are the things that I ask, and I also would ask, like, knowledge, like, okay, you've been in this business for so long, like, how would you do different? It's almost like a podcast, but without being on the microphone.
Yeah. So you're curious all the time about how to do things better.
Oh, absolutely. That's part of learning and growing.
Yeah.
So I do, like, I really do enjoy talking to people and just ask them questions like, oh, you're going through this. How'd you do it? That's like, things that if you can't Google, you can't, search on in the YouTube, really, you got to go back to the masters, the masters who mastered the relationship with their spouse. How'd you do that? How have you not killed them yet? Because there are times I feel like I want to, hurt somebody.
But there's not bodies in the street, right?
Right,
yeah.
right. So,
so is there anything consistent that they say? Is it about how to treat people or to think about, or is it just a big mix?
I think one of the biggest things that they taught me is that you have to make the decision, what you want in life. If this person that you want to be with is worth the trouble of learning, and growing, and it's just like what we do every day, work. Everything is work. Like, do you want to put work into it? If you don't, you probably don't want to get involved with anybody because everything is work, So one of the things they really taught me is like, if you really do admire this person and love this person, you're going to have to do everything to learn about this person, and you're going to, of course, accept the truth. Things that you like about them, is it because of them? Is it because of you? Something that you don't like. Instead of change that person, can you change yourself? Like, if for example, like, is that, my wife, she likes to leave lights on. I'm taught, growing up, turn off the lights, and she leaves them on. And that's kind of go back to, why does that bother you? Is it you or is it her? Of course, she's the one who leaves on the lights. But is it?
But why does it matter?
Right. Why does it matter? You're like, is that going to cost you a lot of money?
It's going to cost you $3.
Right.
Is it worth pissing her off and you being upset and causing you anxiety?
That's right.
Probably not.
Probably not. Very likely not.
Probably
so it's
not.
Kind of like, now, you're exactly right about that. So why does it bother me? It's my issue.
Yeah.
It's me. It's internally. How do I change that? I'm going to tell myself, no big deal. I will go ahead and get the motion sensors.
That's what we got, right? Yeah.
Right?
That's what we got. Yeah.
If you can't solve a problem, within, all right, let's go find technology, maybe something that, sure enough, there's a sensor, so I don't have to worry about that anymore.
Do you think that the little things, do you think they tend to bother people that have a perfectionist problem?
I would say so.
And that probably comes from our childhood. It comes from how we were raised. And
That's
where
right.
where that comes from is probably your dad realizing, like, hey, we don't have a lot of money. And we have
Right.
to be careful on every one of these things, though $3 matters.
That's right.
And that carries over. And that shows up really good in our life about what it takes to be successful and determination and grit and perseverance, right?
That's right.
But when it comes to interacting with others that maybe didn't have that same experience in life,
That's right.
someone's got to give.
I have never heard anyone say things like that. Like, you're the first one that has that kind of logic. Like, that's something I actually have just learned recently. Everyone has this different struggles growing up. You know, like I'm looking at you, looking at me. I'm looking at you as a grown man. You know, looking at me as, you know, the
Grown
same
man.
thing, grown man.
Yep.
But we don't know what was our struggle growing up. So I guess me is that the light thing, but you probably didn't have to worry about that growing up. You probably had something else that I never had to worry about. But it's like, but we don't see that. We don't even acknowledge it. We don't even know it.
You know why? Because we're so busy thinking about ourselves, man. That's it. We're so busy in our own brain about how we feel,
Right.
about how the thing's triggering me, about that person did something to me. It's like, you know what? They probably didn't. They probably actually didn't do it to you. It doesn't have anything to do with you. It has to do with them, how they grew up, what their experiences are. And if we're really honest with ourselves and we're able to be humble, to your point, we're the same thing.
Right.
Like, who am I taking from my childhood and my past, and I'm bringing it into the world that might not be good for them either? And if we could just slow the F down
Right.
and just be like, all right, come on, pump the brakes here. Does it really matter? There's probably only like 3 or 4 things in life like really big that really matter. There probably are. We don't have to sit here and define them,
Right.
but that's probably it. Everything else doesn't matter. It just doesn't. Like, I think that so often what I'm finding as I mature and grow in life, the things that used to be problems, if we don't see them as problems anymore, and just like, well, this is a little thing, I'm not happy about it, but let me figure out a solution. If we don't see them as problems, we're able to communicate and work through it with others better. And what I found is when someone else I'm interacting with, they're causing me a problem or something I don't like, if I have the patience, you invoke patience here, but if I have the patience to sit down and seek to understand, what's funny is a deeper relationship forms with them. Like, for example, your restaurant. I'll actually use this. So I went to a hibachi place about 6 or 7 years ago. Went for a lunch with a group of just employees. There were 6 or 7 of us there. Dave, I don't know if you were there. Remember when the soup got dumped in my lap?
No, I wasn't there for that. I heard about it.
You heard about it, right?
Yep.
And so hibachi, you know, that soup, it's just a broth. I don't know the type of soup it is, but whatever. So you get the salad with the ginger dressing, and you get the broth and the soup. And as, I think they were Japanese, so as the waitress is taking it off the tray and setting the soup on the table, she pours the whole cup in my lap. She was instantly devastated and frozen like,
I believe it
yep, I get it. And those things have happened in your restaurant.
all the time.
Okay. And so it was a good moment for me. I kind of looked down, I pushed the seat back, and I looked up and I was like, stuff happens.
That's awesome.
Well, I'm not saying I've had that reaction every moment in my life. However, the owner of the restaurant then, every time I came back, she knew me. She remembered my name. They smiled. Every time we came back, the waitress, we kind of looked at each other and we had that like little thing now, right? But they gave us extra things. They treated us better. They were happy to see us. They had a smile on their face. So my reaction over something that happened bad that I didn't do to myself actually created a deeper, better relationship, and I received more in the future because of just that one moment. If everybody would take that position in all these difficult things in life, other people give us more, treat us better, fight for us, and you're just going to have a different type of interaction. The other night, I'm going the same situation. I'm going through drive-through of a fast food. I have a bad habit since I work really late, 1, 2 o'clock here in the morning all the time. And I eat late, which is terrible. But I went through a drive-through, and I pull up in this nice car I drive now, and all the LED lights and everything. And the kid working the drive-through at 1 o'clock in the morning at this restaurant, obviously, he doesn't have a lot of money. You're not going to work that job if you do. And I pull up, and he's like, hey, man, there's a really cool lights. I'm like, hey, thanks, man. I appreciate it. I interacted with him differently than what he probably perceived. He's probably perceived me as some rich guy. I got a nice car, but I'm still grinding like I'm poor, man. Right? And I just treated him normal.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, hey, man, listen, if you work really hard for a long time, like I've had to do, you can have the same thing. I told him that at the drive-thru. And he looked back at me. And he looked back like, there's been no one like you that's ever talked to me that way. And about 20 seconds later, he comes back. He's like, hey, man, you want a free drink? I know you don't love to hear this, right? But he's like, you want a free drink? And something about it's like, I'm not supposed to take a free drink. But I was like, yeah, man, cool. I was like, anything diet. So he goes and gets me a small one. I'm like, if you're going to give me a big one at least. But he brings back, he's like, shh, right? He hands it to me. I made that kid feel something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that feeling, just that one moment, it actually could change how he sees the world. And it could give him perspective maybe that, oh, normal people, you can still be wealthy and have a lot of money and drive and have nice things, but you can treat other people well and be nice. Who knows? That kid may be on a path now, maybe, to like working harder and starting on more things to try to achieve something. So if we can just take a break and relax when all these bad things happen, to realize, like, hey, man, like, they're probably not doing this to me. They're not doing this to me. They do it to anybody else in this moment. So, I don't know. I just took that and ran with it, you know.
That's absolutely right. That's how I feel about it, too. Funny you mentioned that. I'll share a little story, a little, I guess, experience, you know, with kind of compliments.
Hey, do this, too. This will help you. Pull them up a little bit more in the back. You won't have to hold it.
Okay.
There you see. You don't have to hold it now.
Right.
You're good. Okay.
So, let me think what I was trying to say.
Sorry, the story. You were going to share a story. I just talked about the guy.
So, actually, at the restaurant, Kung Food, I actually encourage my staff, our teammates, especially instance like, you know, like, whoops, I spilled drinks all over in your pants, whatever. Or, you know, we made a mistake and the customers, you know, and the customer who's very accepting, you know, and those are the ones we actually do reward, because it's like, oh man, like, yes, any situation like this, bro, people go off on us, like, and they go crazy carrying on us, you know. But with a little bit of compassion, it's like, we want to reward that. Hey, thanks for being so freaking cool. Let me give you some crab and goo. Let me give you some, you know, or you know, stainless steel chopsticks or whatever, because that kind of makes us feel good to like, this person gets it, and we want to reward. We want to let this person know, like, what you just did right there, that was really kind. That was really good for us and make us feel amazing. Yes, we were ready. You know, we're ready to get, you know, to take that bloodbath. You know, someone just rained down on us, be like, you know, y'all, this and that. There's no respect for, you know, restaurant folks like us. Like, you know, just it's because you work out an industry like this, you have no education, you know, your parents are, you know, whatever. No, that's not true. You know, so kind of like we said about that kid, you know, you at a fast food joint, it's like, the kid is going to be a better person than you because he actually started off at the bottom and he's absorbing some nice things from the nice people, kind of from you, some really, really negative things from those who's got their nose up there. But you know what? At least this kid, he is working. He's making an honest living. He does not need this. So if in the perfect world, and I tell everybody that I know, in a perfect world, doesn't really matter if your parents are rich, if your parents are poor, everyone should really work at a restaurant industry so they know how it feels like to be a nobody when people treat you like a nobody. But also, they should know how it feels when you're working with a team of awesome folks. You feel loved, you feel supported, you know, and just having the job, you know, at a fast food restaurant or any restaurant, it really does make you I would say
makes you more capable. Makes you more capable.
Yeah. I mean, it just makes you more aware. Your awareness is like Spider-Man's awareness. You're like, it opened up a different door. Like, it's like, wow, I never even noticed, you know, what, you know, I'm now seeing. Like, you pay
from humans.
Yeah, for like even like smallest details, you know, like even, you know, at a house, your house, you know, like, oh, I should clean up my house. This way, that way, you know, like how I should treat people. You know, it kind of help you.
What would I learn if I came down to work at Kung Food? We call it Amerasia, but if I came down there and worked for like 3 nights, what would I learn?
I would say you probably, very likely, you'll learn some basics like, you know, thank you, 谢谢, you know, things like that. But no, I would say teamwork. We rely heavily on teamwork. There's no I in the team, you know, and even myself, I'm out there working alongside with my teammates, you know, like I would say that you will learn a lot by working together. You communicate with each other, because communication works is universal. It is a universal language. It may be a different language, that you can understand, or you can, could speak, but at the end of the day, it's the same thing. You communicate somehow, pointing or Google Translate, whatever. We got to communicate with each other. Hey, I'm about to do this and that. What can I do for you? I'm about, you can do this and that for me, or whatever. I think the teamwork is the number one thing that you'll be able to learn from Kung Food.
What would I learn about humans and customers?
Well, I guess everyone's so different, but I can tell you that from these 16, 17 years of working experience running this restaurants of Kung Food, we are very blessed. We're so blessed with the type of clientele that we have. Most of them, they are restaurant industry folks, our industry folks. So we're being treated with respect. And there are also a bunch of locals, and Covington happen to be very lucky. We happen to have one of the best folks around, in the community that supports us, that likes us, So we don't have a lot of the Karens that comes in and have different expectation, So like I said, we're very blessed, and just having these awesome folks in the community that supports our business, it really makes our work environment so much more pleasant, because we're dealing with a lot less negativity coming from these rich, I'm not going to say rich folks, but those who
they feel like they're privileged. They feel like people owe them something, man. Right. They think we're here to serve them.
That's right.
And it's like, what, here's the thing, for all I'm all about somebody being humble and wealthy, man. Like, be that. But if you think just because you have money that this world, another individual owe you something, you aren't shit. You're not any more deserving than any other human being that's breathing on this earth. You've just been fortunate. You've made some good decisions. You've had somebody around you. But you know what? Go out and share some positive, good vibes with the world.
That's right.
Like, share with them how you're able to achieve what you achieved, and don't be such an asshole, man.
That's right.
Yeah, and you're fortunate that you don't have a lot of those.
Very fortunate, and I do think that those who has the money, the power, the status, they're what I consider influencers.
Yeah, that's what we should be doing, man. Like, you're running your restaurant, I'm running my business. Go out and engage with people in a positive way and show them what work ethic is. But when you have to be tenacious every once in a while, I bet your employees see that sometimes. They see the tough Johnny. It's like, all right, man, we better get our shit together because it's not going well.
That's right.
Right? You have expectations. You have standards that everybody has to live up to. But go out in the world and just be a good, positive part of it. The world is not as bad as all the bullshit looks like out here. It's not. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of really good stuff happening with a lot of good people. You see it every day, so that's what you're experiencing more.
That's right, and I do believe that. I do believe that someone like you, someone like me. I mean, you don't have to be a business owner. I mean, you can just be a normal kid.
The best spot to be, whoever your number 2 or 3 is at your restaurant. Those are way better positions than to be me or you. And I don't give a shit. I know what it is. I know what I have to sacrifice and you have to sacrifice. Those people get all the same benefits of having control, of being able to operate and having the power. And they have to worry about 80% less of what you have to worry about.
Right.
Right? And you feel like they feel like they're running it and operating it. To be number 2 or number 3 at a place is way better than being number 1. It's way better.
That's right. Less pressure.
There is. Yeah. They have pressure and responsibility, but it's not the same.
That's right.
Yeah. Have you found 2 or 3 people over the years that have really helped you? Or is it hard, or does that turn over a lot? Does it feel like just so much of it is just on your shoulders and on you?
So no matter what, I mean, even you have, the best of the best, I always carry that pressure, that load on my shoulder because, anxieties, I guess, there's always that, oh shit moments, and of course, who can do it better? Me. Right. But over the years, I have learned how to let things go, let things flow, and trust my teammates, those who are in charge of the house while I'm gone. It's still a struggle. I'm not going to lie about that. But I guess, it's kind of like, being a parent, same thing. You leave your kids, with someone else, you're always back of your mind. It's like, how's the kid? It's, is this babysitter, are they doing what they're supposed to do? Is their stove left on? Whatever, right? You have no control over that. So I do have several folks, the leads, the management that I trust, but every single one of our staff, not only the management, I trust every single one of them. I guess kind of go back to the earlier question you asked me in the beginning of the podcast, is that we treat our employees with respect. We pay them very, very well. We don't take advantage of them. In fact, not trying to
toot your own horn. Toot it.
We actually give back to our employees. So during COVID, right, the governor shut down all the businesses around for a while, and we used that opportunity to renovate the restaurant. So it took about 3 months to complete the renovation. And guess what? We paid our probably 95% of our full-time staffs their usual salary, or the tip wages that they receive, based on, months, a year, overalls. But anyway, we probably paid out $80,000, for the first month and a half or so before PPP kicked in. And PPP kicked in. That was great. They saved us, and then the remaining of the another half in the 1.5 month, we paid out. So basically we paid out like over almost $150,000 of our own money, and then PPP round 2 happened, and that really saved our ass. But guess what? We paid them, all of our staffs. We didn't say, what, good luck, you're gonna have to get that unemployment from the state. We didn't. Again, with all of with everything my parents gone through, we did not feel like they were replaceables. So we kept them, all of them, until the week before reopening. I said, hey guys, y'all ready? Because we're about to open about a week. Guess what?
Time to pay it back.
One of them showed up, the following day for trainings, to get, the little walkthroughs of the new space.
The restaurant looks good. I hadn't been in there for a while, but it did. It felt like, oh, this is way more hip than it used to be. Like this feels. It doesn't just feel refreshed. It feels cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. Was that intentional? It felt cool.
So everything, it was. So I designed all the visual. I designed all the interior. Like I said, before the renovation, I was there basically. I lived there. Literally, I lived on the 3rd floor of the building. So all the decor, all the toys, all the posters and all that, all this kung fu concept was the little kid I was growing up watching kung fu films, action figures, so everything, it was, all the perspective, all the, everything that I had imagined for the restaurant, I just made it reality.
You know what's so special is, you live there, you work there, you spent your time during COVID making it a better place to come. All the decoration came from you. Like, this is what's so special about entrepreneurship and small business in this country. This is what's awesome, is you're taking one physical location on one street in one city and one restaurant, and you and your family have given absolutely everything you've had for 16 to 17 years, and you've poured it into this place. And what is awesome is you go up and down just that one street, Madison, in Covington, Kentucky, in business after business after business, you see the same types of things, the ones that succeed. And that is what is so special in this country, and why small business and entrepreneurship is important, is because you become really passionate when you've got everything in it. Because you're just going to fight for it like it's life or death every day. And what happens is you get a great outcome with families caring about actually using real tea leaves from trees in Taiwan that has fresh water coming down the mountain and nurturing it, and then that's the tea that you get to drink. The same thing about the seasoning, and you don't have just the ingredient, you don't have just the recipe. It's a pinch of this and it's a pinch of that. Everything and every soul, every piece of your old soul, you put into everything you do. And as customers, we get to show up and hand you $15 and go in and have a lunch. And everything you've done for 16 or 17 years, I get all of that in 30 minutes.
That's right.
And that is what is awesome about small business, about entrepreneurship. And so there's something special about also being an employee working at a place like that, because they get to also, when they work there and they put in their 20 or 30 or 40 hours a week, they get to experience and feel that too. There's something really special about this in this country, and no matter how tough things get or how challenging it gets, there's still some really special things going on here for us.
No, I totally 100% agree with you.
Yeah, man.
Yes, I do.
What do you think what's the next 10 years for Johnny going to be? You have to have some ideas. I know that I bet, and I ask that because I bet the 16 years have gone by in a flash.
It sure did.
Right?
Right.
Because you're just all in on this thing. And there's probably moments of 2 and 3 and 4 years you don't even really remember. So that could easily happen again. But it feels like when I was in the restaurant the other day and Dave and I stopped down, it feels like you're having a moment to breathe. And you get to see outside of it and say, what else do I really want to do? Am I correct and accurate in that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Every day I think about that. Like, what, if not the restaurants, what else? If the restaurants, what else could I do? I do think about that every day. So with this, we talked about earlier, everything is going so fast. Our internet and speed is going faster and faster. Car gets faster and faster. Our life gets faster and busier. So I don't know, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, later, do we even have time to sit at a restaurant to eat? Are we going to lose that? So my goal is, I have been playing with, like one thing that I love about this thing is called air fryers. Oh my God, air fryer changed my life, right? Ever since I was introduced to air fryer, I have not stopped using air fryer. So with that air fryer, convenience of air fryers in mind, we've been experimenting on, fresh, well, I guess you can call it still fresh, frozen, like, cooked food, but fast freeze, packaged, designed for, air fryers, things like that, and I think,
so you can package it, we can take it home and drop it in an air fryer.
That's right. And it's going to cost you less money, less work for us. We don't have to wash dishes.
And how long would it last in my freezer or fridge? What do you think?
I think it's going to last as long as it freezes.
Really? So it could be 6 months later. It might be as good.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And our sauces, the sauces we make in house, it will never go bad because it contains, no crazy ingredients. So basically, it's all natural. It does contain like it's like citrus and sugar. It does, use it's kind of like preservatives, for the sauces. Again, we've been experimenting with that. But I do think that, later on in life, we might not even have an actual like sit down service.
Maybe not a restaurant.
Right. Because if you think about it, boss boys, waitresses, waiter, bartender, and all that, that kind of, it just eliminates all of that, So if we just have a central kitchen that, makes the food, freezes it, like we'll ship it to you, you can pick it up. That's cool. So I do think that that's the direction I want to go next. There's a lot of frozen food out there. It's just so much MSG.
Yeah, it's not quality, right?
It's not. It's all for the convenience. But we can definitely, have convenient food at a really good quality.
Yeah.
So
you think the evolution of the restaurant industry really, it's fascinating to you?
It really is.
Yeah.
We adapt to, the world, the speed of the world.
Yeah.
And right now it seems that it's going fast and faster. And, this family time, family dinner time, I think it's still, it's there, but it probably just not much of cooking at home. Maybe it's just instant food. But I'm wrong. I'm hoping I'm really wrong about that. But in case I'm right about it, you know what? I think that's a direction that we might be approaching.
Hey man, awesome conversation today. I knew it was going to be great when you came in with the fashionable frames, and you came in with a corduroy jacket and this cool button up. I was like, all right, Johnny's ready. He's ready for the heat today. Thanks, man. I appreciate the passion that that you just put into life. It makes our communities better.
Thank
And yeah, man. And I'm excited for you for what the next 3, 4, 5 years is going to unwind for you. And maybe get a little bit of time for Johnny and to figure things out, because your restaurant's taken care of. I saw it when I was there the other day. I'm like, Kung Fu AmerAsia, it's as good as it's ever been. And so maybe turn another knob of life, right?
Yep. We'll see what the next chapter
Yeah.
brings me. But I'm for certain that we'll be doing this Kung Fu for a while. But like I said, we might have their different concept. But I guess at the end of the day, it's all about preaching the world, man. Like, hey, Asian food can be good. We'll introduce you to the newest thing right now is the baos and buns, and they're really healthy for you. No grease, but nothing artificial about it. But we're trying to present more clean eating than just, of course, more veggies than, animal proteins. But we're working on it. It's whatever out there. If we think that this is going to be interesting enough and flavorful, healthy, we're going to try for it.
Awesome, dude. Hey, thanks for coming in, man. I love the story. Keep doing great things.
I appreciate
guys like you are inspiring. And, man, if everybody will just give a little bit of the effort, a little bit of passion, and the commitment that you guys have had, how I try to run my business, they're going to have a really good business. And they're going to have a better life, and they're going to show their employees that they can move up and do the same sorts of things. And, hey, you guys, when you're going through, to everybody listening today, when you have another moment at a restaurant, whether it's a drive-through or whether you're at your place, Kung Fu AmerAsia, if you have somebody spill some soup, if somebody drops some food, hey, just take a break and just think like, hey, if I was that person, obviously it wasn't intentional. If I was that employee, that person, that restaurant owner, how would I want me to act?
That's right.
Right.
No,
And,
absolutely.
take a little break. And to your point, when you act that way, and what I learned and what you said, like, you get extra things. You have people enjoy you coming back. You get treated better if you're the one that reacts at a higher level. Thanks, man. Go down and make some. You're off today.
I'm off today.
Wow, that's rare.
Yeah, well, office date, I guess.
Okay, there you
I still
go.
gotta write checks. I
Do all
gotta
the things.
phone calls, email, the thing that I usually do anyway. It's just I don't have to be there physically.
Thanks for giving us an hour and a half, man.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me here. This
Yeah.
has been fun.
You're awesome, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.